Howdy, folks. Welcome to the channel, Rockin' the Country. I'm Don. I've got a gift request from GW. They named a bridge after you, George. I don't know if you know that. It goes from Fort Lee into New York City, but the GW Bridge. Thank you for this gift and request of the Possums' Memories of Us, George Jones. And Mr. Historic SC has a video up from 1975 that you wanted, and you said this was in 1975, right after his divorce from Tammy, and you could see it in his face. So I guess that's what we're going to be looking for to a certain extent, and also just seeing how he does the song. So thank you for this gift, George. George's name is George Woodruff, but I nickname him GW, and you'll see, because whenever he's George Jones, he's a huge George Jones fan. So whenever I say George said this or George that, some folks could be like, George Jones said that? When did he say that? So I say GW to differentiate George Jones from George Woodruff. And I'm going to put the link to Mr. Historic SC, South Carolina. I'll put the link to his channel down below so you can go check out what he's got. But this is from Columbia, South Carolina in 1975. I've been to Columbia briefly, but I've been to South Carolina quite a bit. Here we go.
Got a brand new record out. We hope you'll like it. It goes like this.
He knows what's coming.
The old man who sold his apple isn't there anymore. The city square don't seem as big as it did in days before. They tore down that old drugstore we used to love so much, but everything is still the same in my memory of us.
Yeah.
That old school bus has long stopped running, and I heard the driver die. The movie house is all boarded up where we sit side by side, and the sign that said state champions,
Oh, man.
it's covered up with dust, but everything is still the same in my memory of us.
That's how it works, good, bad, and otherwise.
In my memory of us. Things are still the same, where yesterdays are something tomorrows cannot change. Her freckles just don't disappear. Pigtails never rust.
I'm pausing because I want you to watch a little bit of this song with this part in mind, that performers are human beings too. And we sort of turn them into these otherworldly figures when they're on stage performing, especially those that we love and we've been listening to maybe for decades, and everybody else listens and watches them because they're big as artists like George, but they're human beings feeling pain feeling joy, feeling all. And when they go on stage, it isn't like you can just punch out. To an extent, you do, because you've got all this adulation and people embracing you and loving you. And in that, you're in a cocoon in that regard, where you've got this world of acceptance when you're there. But in some ways, you get used to that. And whatever pain, if you're going through a divorce, no matter what job you have, even as a performer, you're going to go out there and put on your performer's outfit, if you will. And that includes how you present yourself. But you can't always pull it off. Doesn't matter what your job is. Professional ballerinas, dancers, musicians, salespeople. You're going through brutal stuff in life, like a divorce or just after a divorce. And somehow you still got to put on a happy face. And that's where like Smokey Robinson's Tears of a Clown like sort of captures that essence, where you may look happy or present happy, but for George, he's got to be out there. He had a tour planned, and you can back out of it, but then you alienate your fans even further because, No Show Jones, they had him labeled as, and because of alcohol problems. So in this situation, he has to show up. You don't get that many more strikes in life, even if you were or are a George Jones.
And everything, it's still the same.
I love
in my memory in my memory of us. Thank you so much. You've been wonderful tonight.
I wonder who wrote that and when it was written, because that partly makes a difference in how the performer sings it. Like if George wrote that specific to his divorce with Tammy, then of course he's going to feel it on a very deep personal level. He won't have to make himself feel it. Other songs touch on your situation so acutely, so accurately, that it's not a big step for you to feel that song. And other songs, the timing is just such where you can sort of put yourself in it and conjure up emotions, if you will, to let's say you're going to import your feelings into the performance. And like actors and actresses have, I think it's called method acting, where, you're going to be in a scene and you can't really relate to what's happening in the scene in the movie because it's either so outlandish or something. But you've got to summon up tears because it's a very sad, moving scene. And so you think of something really sad that happened in your life, something that may have made you cry, a breakup with a high school sweetheart or something. And that enables you to feel that emotion to show in that scene that you can't relate to, that you're relating to it. There's a variety of ways in which performers go about singing a song. George obviously is going to be a little bit less enthusiastic about anything in life because songs are written about breakups for a reason. They de-energize you, they enervate you, they sort of remove part of who you are for a while. And you can go through the motions, and even as performers, you've got to go through the motions. Athletes have to do it. Everybody has to do it, no matter what occupation. So, yeah, that speaks about the human element. Now, as far as the song goes, let's say this was written by somebody else years ago, and it was just a song truly. I'll just take it and compartmentalize it, separating it from George's recent divorce in this performance from Tammy, and say, I've said this before, and it's just true, that we live with the memories of events a lot longer than the events themselves. You go on vacation for a week, you go on your honeymoon or whatever, you remember that for decades to come. The rest of your life, you remember some of the salient points anyway. And so you're there for a week or whatever, but for 50 years afterward, you've got the memory of it. Same thing is true in anything in life, really. So you remember certain, the way human memory works. We remember certain details, but we forget 99.9% of the details of life. So without me going into all that stuff and how memory works and observation and forgetfulness necessary in many cases, we do remember the events, the school bus, the drugstore. I remember when he brought up the drugstore in this song, I remembered the smells from the drugstore down the end of my street when I was growing up. And I loved a certain part of it, and another part of it I didn't love the aromas. And as a kid I had a sweet tooth, so there was sort of like a section that sort of, obviously candy section or whatnot, that would stimulate me. The notebook section didn't. The school supplies did not. But I remembered it. I remember taking my bike or going down. It was about a mile from my house. My sister and I would go. My buddies and I would go, whatever. And you remember those things. And I didn't have to get bused to school because I lived near the elementary school. Then the middle school wasn't far from my home and the high school wasn't far from my home. So I had it good in that regard. I never had to take the bus. Sometimes I had to take the late bus home after soccer practice or what have you. Or if it was cold or rainy, I would take the bus. Otherwise, I would walk even after practice. No big whoop there. So, yeah, GW, that was good to see this. And I'm curious to know maybe how much George was thinking or feeling the things that I mentioned in the video, how accurate that was. But it certainly is a general principle true that performers are human beings too. And other things in life affect them. They can't not. I'm going to rate this. I don't think this was an ode to Tammy and his divorce per se, even if it may have been on his mind, conjured up those thoughts. But I think this was a song in its own right. And the number, I know I'm going to get lambasted by some for this, because some think that George Jones's songs are all tens, right? The number that popped into my head was a Montauk Ed Jeff Cather special, an 8.9. And I don't know if I'll be hearing from Ed or Jeff on this one, or Steve Swags, who's an officer up in Minnesota of the canine sort. But he's not the dog, he's obviously the officer. But I may be hearing from them to track me down. I've yet to be found, people. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day. See you on another video. Remember me kindly and keep rocking the country.
It's covered up with dust, but everything is still the same.